This is the recording for peer programming. You are in peer programming 4. I'm with Joseph, and Baba is listening in. We are doing chapter 10. I'll do the HTML, and the CSS, and Joseph will do the JavaScript for this particular chapter. Okay. This our HTML file. Basically what is happening, what I'll do, perhaps I'll try and do a preview so that you can see what it looks like. Okay. um, it's got a main div that is called input weights. Basically that div will hold this a pane here that has got the unordered lists and the button at the bottom here. The button, that's the one that Joseph will speak about, because it activates our JavaScript on this particular page. If you look further down there, you've got another div that is the stories. That div there that has got the dotted line. Let's just go through it line by line. So the unordered lists, basically it put list items, and in the list item, basically it would put an input, which is an input box or a text box, and together with the text that appears there. But before the text, it actually puts what to call a break line tag, so that at least the what to call the text can come underneath there. I'll click on that one so that at least it can display that it is a text box. So it does that for the numerous text boxes right up until the end. I'll go to our CSS so that you can see what's going on here. The CSS, what we do, we first put the Comic Sans, what you call Sans, this thing, a font as our family font on the body element. So basically anything else that actually is in the body will sort of like inherit that style. The thing that we just need to be aware of is that the input types, the elements in the what you call in your HTML do not inherit the style. So if you want a different style than the default style of your computer for the input the boxes, you need to actually set the style separately. That's why even if I was to say pretty here, you'd find the style is not the same as the style for the adjective. So it's something that you just need to be aware of. The next style sheet is the input weights. The input weights is an ID of the div that contains both the what to call the unordered list together with the button. I've actually changed the what to call the um, CSS to include a border, so that at least we can see the extent of that particular div. Okay, and then just put a black solid border right around it. Okay. Another thing is, if you put a border, perhaps you may have to put some what to call it, some padding or something like that, so that it's not flushed against padding. Say, I'll say 0.5 em, so that with your input boxes do not flush against the what to call the border of that div. All right. All right, the next one would be your unordered list. The thing that you do first is to remove those buttons, because by default, if you were to remove the style sheet, you'll find that this list items, they've got that bullet thing there. So this list style type none basically just removes that, so that it looks a little bit better. And again, it's got a padding and a margin that is set to 0. Okay. And then I've got now the line items. You must remember the line item include both the text box and the what to call and the text that describes it. Okay, so we set the line height to be 2, so that at least it's nicely spaced. Otherwise, it gets squashed together. So if I were to comment this, and then you'd find which it actually just sort of like the text flushes against that text box. that text box. But if you necessarily put it, and then it's sort of like, to spread it out nicely, just for it to look a little bit better for the aesthetics. Okay. What other thing that you need to note is the text transform form style. It also changes your verbs here to be uppercase, and the margin on the top is the margin that you'd find between one list element and the other list element. You see, which is that space there. So that even if you were to do this, so basically the space from the adjective to the top of this thing text box, which it actually increases by doing that. Okay, let's look at the actual input itself. The thing that we do with the input is to remove the borders, so that at least they do not show the left border, the top border, or rather the top and the left border, and the right border and the left border. It only retains the what you call, it only retains the border bottom, the border that's at the bottom. But again, just be aware that as a default, this thing as a default a view for your text boxes, each time you click on it to put some text, it actually shows all the borders right around. Okay. The button div is right at the bottom there. Let's look at our chapter HTML, chapter 10 HTML. This button div here, that's the one that puts the actual button at the center, you see, because this style, basically, it says whatever is in that div, it needs to be put at the center. This one, line number 25, okay? The replacement button also is got the top margin and a width of 200 pixels, so that at least it's nice and it doesn't get too squashed. The story is the div that is going to hold your story there. The only thing that it's got is your border, that at least that's what is visible for now. That dash border of 1 pixels that goes around it, and then it's got a margin on top. That's why it doesn't flush against the what you call the top border of your input weights div there. Hence that particular gap. You are not going to see it, of course. You see it now because I've put the border, but the initial styling for this thing, it doesn't have that border there. Okay. Another thing that you just need to be aware of is that float left, because even the other this div, that input width div, it also floats to the left. Okay. By default, you must remember that divs are block elements. So basically, if you put one div below another one in your HTML, then the first div would actually sort of like would take the entire width of your web page, and the other one will come underneath. But if you say you want it to float to the left, it actually just takes the width that it has been given and it flushes to the left, so that the next div that comes through, it also comes on the right of it, and then it can also be flushed on the left. As you can see, you've got float left here, and then you've got float left also for the story div. The replacement, I trust that we'll remember when Joseph is doing the JavaScript, that it's in the
Vusi,
JavaScript where
please.
this replacement is actually used. Okay, you can take over now, Joe. Unless if perhaps there's some comment that you want to sort of like have recorded
There's no
on.
comment.
Yeah.
Can you
Okay.
just explain the JS code as well? Because I don't think I'll be able to explain.
Say that again.
Can you just explain the JS if you understand it? Because I don't think I'll be able to explain it.
Oh, is
Can you
it
just
okay? All
please
right. Okay.
explain?
I'll do that. I'll do that.
Yeah, so we just
Then
leave and yeah
let's
for
let's
this one.
let's go to the JavaScript. Okay. Open with. Um,
Okay, wait, I'm sorry guys. Can I just chime in here?
yeah.
You know, we do need both of you guys to speak in the recording. So Joseph, maybe you could explain half of the JavaScript file, and then then Vusi can explain the other half.
I can't explain it. Don't worry. The next peer group, I'll talk. Today I can't talk.
Now, look, it's fine, Baba. Perhaps what I can do is just to start with the JavaScript file. If he sort of like understands the first lot, perhaps he can sort of like attempt to do perhaps the next variable or something like that. Because I'm not going to do if these variables are 10, they do the same thing. I'm not going to repeat it 10 times. If it's okay with you, just in case
Yeah, are
perhaps.
you
Yeah,
guys
you just have to explain, and then that's it. You don't have to, because most of them are like repetitive stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, no, look, it's fine. It's okay. I really don't mind to continue. If you look at the JavaScript file, basically these are the things that we have been learning in the past day or so, where you actually use the document.get element by ID. Remember that each and every what to call each and every element that you've got in your HTML, if you want to access it in your JavaScript, you need to give it an ID. You can also use that ID, of course, to style it, to have a what to call a unique style for it in your cascading style sheet. Just remember again that in your cascading style sheet, mainly you'd use classes, so that at least similar elements, which can be styled in one block of what to call of a style using a class. All right. So here we've got a variable called replace button. The replace button basically takes the element that has got replace button as an ID. So if you go to your HTML file, you find which the replace button is the only button that this particular page has got, is the one that is at the bottom there, and you can see there it says replace button. So you create a variable on replace button, and once you've done that, you add an event listener, and the event listener basically is going to listen to any click that is actually sort of like done by the user. And when that is done, then it actually sort of like runs or executes or invoke the what to call your replace it function. Okay, so the replace it function basically doesn't take any parameters, so it's not expecting any arguments from where it's called. So just remember again, which it only happens if you actually click it. What would happen is it creates a what to call a variable that's called story.div. Basically, this is the variable that we are going to use further down, where you actually change is in HTML to be the string that would be contained in the variable, the story that we are going to look at it right now. Okay, so it would create that div, and then it actually points to this div here. That div with the dotted whatever, the what to call the dotted border. Okay, um, and then now we are going to create a variable that's going to sort of like that is going to hold the input that a user would actually write there. Okay, let's look at the first one. It says adjective one. That's the name of the variable. Before it actually gets that particular element, it starts putting a span, an opening tag of a span that has got a class replacement. Okay, and if you actually look at all of them, they've got that opening span that's got a class replacement, and then you get the actual the value that is in that element. So remember that for things like divs and things like divs and headings and paragraphs and spans and all those things, they usually use the what to call the property inner HTML or text content. But for the actual inputs, which you always look at value. That would be your input, like your text input, or like your radio buttons and your checkboxes and all those things. So just be careful that you do not start using inner HTML here, but you actually look at the actual value that actually sort of like happens. So what would happen then is, if I type here beautiful, I can't remember now how to beautiful. It's one of those difficult or something like that. Then this beautiful, because it's in the value of this element, that is the adjective one, then would be sort of like would be assigned to this adjective variable here. I don't know if you understand that, Joseph, because if you do, I'm not going to repeat it. I can just go to I'm not going to repeat each and every one of them because they are practically the same. Do you want to comment about what I've said so far?
No, it's fine. I understand. You
You
can stop the
understand that,
recording,
okay?
no problem.
Yeah, okay. So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, each and every variable, just remember that the story is the variable for your div that is going to actually hold the story once you click the button, okay? Um, uh, and then it would necessarily do that until the last one, the actual input box of the verb down there, okay? And then now you'd create a variable where we are going to start with an h1 element. That would be the heading of the what to call of the story, okay? And again, remember that h1 is a block element. So if you say the first or the first characters of this the story string is the h1, then it's going to be the heading and anything else that comes underneath there, okay? And then what you do then is you start adding. You do not say equals to, but you say plus equals so that you retain that each one, this thing, element there. And then it would necessarily start writing the story. It says one, which is a string, and then you append your adjective. Day, Douglas was, and then you append another, you sort of like, with concatenate, it's not append. You concatenate the next variable and so forth and so forth. So at the end of the day, what would end up with, I just want to run the what to call the actual uh, open with live server. I'll make. Can you see this the word game thing? So basically, I would say the pretty verb going, and then the room of the house. I would say kitchen.
You can't see, but it's fine. I understand what you mean, but I can't see it because you only shared this part of your screen
Oh, is it?
where
Oh,
we have
if you've got
dress code.
to
Yeah, but
share,
it's fine.
okay. Let's see whether perhaps oh, okay. All right. Okay. No, no, I do understand. Let me see if perhaps I can share another the part of the screen that has got the actual document. Can you see it now?
Okay, yeah, I can see. I can
Yeah,
see.
yeah. So you say part of the room perhaps is a kitchen, and then they say color. I say red. And then plural noun, dogs. I don't know what dogs would be doing in the kitchen, but again, who cares? Past tense gone. Beverage, I would say tea. A type of music, I would say jazz. A different room in a house. I would say whatever, pantry.
Okay.
Exclamation, I would say hey. I don't know what they mean by exclamation, but anyways, if as long as you understand the what to call, because there's something verb, past tense, made, adjective, I don't know, big, whatever. Don't know whether big is an adjective or a pronoun, but anyway, animal. Didn't you do dog on top there? But anyway, animal, I would say cat. I'll just do domesticated animals, you see. City, Joburg, and then verb, walk, I don't know. And then when you click your replace, then it would actually take this thing, concatenate it, and put it in this panel here. Just remember again that your style sheet, if you remember the style sheet, for this replacement thingy, it says you transform your case into uppercase. That's why all of them they are uppercase, even if perhaps this side I've put them as lowercase. And again, that style also changed the what to call the text decoration to be underlined. That's why each and every one of them is underlined. So my story would look like one pretty day, Douglas was going in the kitchen reading a book about red dogs, and he red dogs, my weed. As he gone his tea. I don't know. He heard jazz music playing in the pantry, Hey, he exclaimed as he made down the stairs to join the big party. Okay. Douglas danced the cat dance, the Joburg shake, and took the prize for dancing the best electric walk. Basically, this one is supposed to be just a fun type of a project where a person just gives you these things and then it changes basically the story. It can be funny if perhaps somebody else wrote it, but with what I put here, it's rather confusing more than anything else. But as long as you understand the
And
what you call the gist of this and why it is done, is there any comment, Joseph?
no, no, you did well.
Okay, all right,
Thank you.
all right. Thank you very much again. I'm not sure whether Baba is still with us here, but what I'll do is I'll stop the recording, and then I will send the what you call Joseph the link
Okay.
to your direct message in what you call in Discord, so that I don't have to send it to email and all this type of thing, so that you can access it there. I've already uploaded, or rather sent the links to the last 3 projects that we've done together. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'll stop the recording now. Bye.